appointing a solicitor. I feel a solicitor should be honest, and I find that intentionally dishonest. And also promoting high-density development, trashing our environment, and I feel all
Mrs. Scott,
the
the solicitor
lawyers
has not done
are
that.
part of it. I have identified wrongdoing, and I want it so documented in the minutes.
So just to clarify, it's the Johnston lot
No,
number 2,
Johnson.
which was the name of the development, which was what was identified by the township's engineer and zoning officer as being considered for approval for a stormwater management agreement. So it was not me that identified them a particular way. It's the name of the development plans that had come through. It was the Johnston lot number 2 subdivision land development, so that's what it was known as. That's what the township engineer, in reviewing the stormwater management plans, presented it as.
Thank you for clarifying that. I would say then that the Board of Supervisors should have the zoning officer or whomever gave Mr. Crody that information, that should be corrected. And all in the future, it should be identified as Denny Howe Development. And as I would further clarify that I called the phone numbers on the advertising board on that property, and you just can't get anybody. So that is just very skeptical and improper, and it certainly doesn't sit well with me. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments regarding the appointment of the township solicitor? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Legal,
The only two legal items for our solicitor's report tonight are just notices. One is that the BOS conditional use hearing, the next hearing is scheduled for January 17th, starting at 6 p.m. And then the last one is kind of just toward the end of the year, the state announced the new bidding threshold, so I had Lisa put those right in the agenda for everyone to know. For 2017, any purchases, contracts under $10,700 do not require any formal or written bid process. Between $10,700 and $19,699, you have to get written or phone quotes. And above $19,700, you need a formal bidding process with advertising. Just wanted to give that notice and update.
thank you. I make a motion to appoint Lisa Elitis as the 2017 Township Secretary and Township Office Right-to-Know Officer at $17.48 per hour.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Now in the treasurer one, we appoint Pawnee still, even though she's on?
Yes.
Okay. Do we need a separate one then for anything for Janice?
No, because Janice is still continuing under her prior appointment as the assistant treasurer.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we were clear on that. I make a motion to appoint Frangipani Martin as the 2017 Township Treasurer and Office Manager at a yearly salary of $53,049.31.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those, Mr. Rhodes?
Excuse me, I don't have a problem with, with the treasurer, but I do have a problem with the rate. I was thought that we were, a possibility, is this separate from the possibility of having the township manager, which I think it was left in there for $100,000, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And the last township manager also did some of the treasure work, so, and I'm not trying to, but the possibility that past treasurers and stuff were part-time, and I can mention, we had 5 or 6 I could mention it, and they were all part-time, and we're subletting a lot of the treasure work out. I mean, as far as the banking, there's a couple other things that the treasurers used to do, Eliza Darren, I could mention all this, the secretaries and the treasurers, they were secretary treasurers at that time. But we sub a lot of, like, right now, even the trash men, they do the billing, all right? A lot of other agencies that we have do the billing. I realize the payroll's even put out too. So I realize there's a lot of work to the treasurer, but I just noticed that there's a lot of the stuff is out there, and the fact that we are thinking about a township manager, and there's no job description, I didn't see anything yet. When you hire people, you have job descriptions, and there was no job description in reference to the treasurer's department. And what, if you're saying that she's in charge of the office, you know, basically, you have to be here for, I just feel that that particular rate there, it might be a fine rate for treasurers, you know, throughout the county. But the fact that this township here has worked years on part-time, and the township hadn't grown that much in the last time we had a treasurer here. So I would look into, before you make a final decision on that, not to say that you wouldn't make a decision as far as who you have as a treasurer, but the rate. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Carries 3-0. I make a motion to appoint Catherine Archibald as the 2017 part-time administrative assistant at $15.91 per hour.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I make a motion to approve the November 22nd, 2016 Board of Supervisors minutes as presented.
Second.
Any questions or comments regarding these minutes? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Set up the meeting dates. I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Supervisors meetings at 6:30 p.m. on the fourth Tuesday and the workshop on the second Tuesday. The Park and Recreation Commission meetings at 6:30 p.m. on the first Tuesday and their workshop on the third Tuesday. The Planning Commission meetings at 6:30 p.m. the first Monday and their workshop on the third Monday. The Historical Commission meetings at 6:30 p.m. on the first Wednesday and their workshop on the third Wednesday.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. 2017 trash recycling payment information sheet. That's just in there as information.
Yeah.
The fees staying the same this year, the $210, or quarterly payments of $52.50. And is that in the back if anybody needs it? And if anybody wants a copy, we can run some off if anybody would like some. To make a motion to appoint the following public work employees as presented. I guess that's not really your official title at this point with the union now, right? Is this foreman, right?
I think it is.
Is it? Are these right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I thought they were different.
That's why it was public works and record. I don't know, that's fine.
Public Works Superintendent Barry Gathercole, $31.63 an hour. Assistant Public Works Superintendent Tim Gathercole, $27.49 an hour. Public Works Assistant Greg Leonard at $23.53 an hour. Public Works Assistant Justin Gathercole at $23.39 an hour. And Public Works Assistant and Mechanic John Weaver at $23.39 per hour.
Second.
Questions or comments? Mrs. Scott?
Go ahead.
No, Mr. Rhodes? Go ahead.
Are these, I'm sorry, are they, I was just looking at, was it, if they're in reference to the union contract, is this what the
Those are
hourly
rates for the
rate
union
is?
contract, yes.
And seeing that it's Teamsters, it usually goes by seniority. You know, most Teamsters unions, it's employee is seniority, it doesn't matter. And I just wonder, Greg's been here the longest, like, 2353, is that set by that union?
Set by the union contract.
Yeah, because I just know he's been there longer than any of them,
Correct.
and I just wonder why his is.
That's
is
set by the union
iron
contract.
dress. All right, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Mrs. Scott?
I have no comment in reference to the hiring or the monies. My comment is that I vehemently object to the fact that our road department is now called a public works department. And it has been restructured and re-identified and unionized by lobbyist lawyer Alan Novak, who has centralized our
Scott, they have every
county
right to
government.
unionize.
I am making a comment. They would have not done it. That Mr. Gathercole and probably half of these transferred from Alan Novak, South Coatesville. This was a pre-planned activity and thereby making monies for the lawyers. So that is what I object to.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Appointment of as-needed snow plowers. I make a motion to appoint the following as-needed snow plowers as presented. Dan Mowry, Joe Gathercole, Alfred Perrine, John Scott, Jim Reagan, Anthony Cerna, Frank Dowling, Eddie Simpson, Jim Sisk, Chris Corley, and Tim Peters, all at a rate of $15 per hour.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Question.
Yes, sir.
They're all using their own equipment.
Correct. Well, do they ever use ours?
No, they use ours.
Well, some of them have their own.
Oh, they're in our trucks.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
$15. Yeah. They're just part-time. They just come in. Most of them, a couple of them have CDL, and there's a couple of them that don't have CDL. They don't have to pay
Mr. Rhodes?
Yeah, just so, these rates here are evidently sent by auditors.
The elected auditors,
Yeah.
yes.
And when was the last time that was, was it $15 an hour? When's the last time the auditors set that rate, do you know?
It's been $15 an hour since I've been on the board, I know that.
All right, so,
That's 3
Oh.
years.
you're talking a couple of years. That everything else went up a little bit, not to say it, but these guys here, some of them have CDL license that they need. I know it has to go back to the auditors, I guess, but supervisors can't do it. But that's something that should have been raised a little bit as a part-time, because they do the same thing as the road department, and you need those guys when you work long hours, when there's a heavy snow, and you need the part-time to relieve some of the full-time. So, that's something maybe the auditors should address, because we're talking 3 or 4 years ago, at $15 an hour. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Make a motion to appoint the following emergency services employees as presented. Fire Marshal and Assistant Emergency Management Coordinator Jim Reagan at $163.92 per quarter and $22 per hour. Assistant Fire Marshal and Emergency Management Coordinator Anthony Cerna at $163.92 per quarter and $22 per hour.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Make a motion to appoint the following police officers as presented. Chief of Police Christopher Porter at $89,441.84 per year. Full-time officer Edward Masterphone at $36.79 per hour. Full-time officer Brian Simmons at $34.29 per hour. Full-time officer Kevin Simmons at $34.29 per hour. Full-time officer Richard McAllister at $34.29 per hour. Full-time officer Gina Malarick at $34.29 per hour. Full-time officer Francis J. O'Donnell at $27.43 per hour. Part-time officer Alan Haldeman at $25 per hour. Part-time police officer Mark McKinney at $25 per hour. Part-time officer John Raffold at $25 per hour. And part-time officer Stephen Hafley at $25 per hour. Second.
Second.
Questions or comments? Mrs. Scott?
I would object to number one being, I think we are overstaffed, and our police department is outrageously horrendous expense for the township, well over $1 million. It is so escalated within the past 10 years. And I would object for the chief of police not protecting my father, who, face-to-face with Chief Porter, stated that he did not want Buddy Rhodes in his home. And
that's a personal matter. I mean,
no, he was on official duty. He was called to my father's home.
that should be handled
Right.
somewhere outside of this meeting.
No, chief of police should have handled that. And what Buddy Rhodes did, he manipulated with the other policemen.
This is not a place to make accusations against people.
I am
or
not
to
making
bring up-
accusations, this is fact.
Okay, then if it's such an
And-
issue, file a police report or with
I have-
somewhere else.
I have.
Okay, then this is not the spot to
Yes,
bring
it
up.
is. Mr. Porter is a puppet of Buddy Rhodes
Okay,
and
Mrs.
Al
Scott,
Novak.
if you cannot stop
As
casting
is, I
things
am,
against people,
sir,
I'm gonna have to
I
ask you
am
to leave.
telling you, well, I certainly will not.
Well, I can have you escorted out. If you will continue coming at
Continue what?
people
Giving
and making
facts?
accusations at people that do not pertain to this meeting at all, then I will have to ask you to leave, and if you do
You
not leave, you
are
can be removed.
appointing someone who is not able to be a chief of police
In your opinion.
from the fact that I just presented to you. And I would also mention that Ed Masterphone, when I called 911 to have Buddy Rhodes removed from my property, Ed Masterphone was acting chief, and he sent South Coatesville Lou and Officer Menta. Neither Lou Wilson nor Menta would ever answer me why charges were not filed.
Okay, well, you have to take that up outside of this. This is not a place to come up with,
Where do I take
Doing
that
it.
up?
you file a
They're your
police report and
police.
go with the thing.
They're your police.
Okay, well, no report has been submitted to us regarding
What
that
kind of
incident,
report am
so
I supposed to put?
you can put a complaint in. It's fine. Thank you. Your 3 minutes are up. Thank you. Any other questions or comments regarding this? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Make a motion to appoint Nancy Baker as the 2017 part-time police administrative assistant and part-time police right-to-know officer at $18.62 per hour.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Make a motion to appoint Keystone Municipal Services as the 2017 Township Building Inspection Code Official and Zoning Services at a rate of $60.
That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah, $60 per hour. Building inspection review, 50% of the permit fee. Electrical inspection and review, 50% of the permit fee. Have a second?
At the same amount of hours?
Correct. And same rates as last year.
Is that a second carry for a whole year?
But you can change your mind and appoint someone new at any point.
Second.
Questions or comments? Mr. Rhodes?
I didn't, excuse me, Steve, I didn't hear that. Was that the zoning officer that you
Yeah.
were speaking of? I didn't hear that. Have you gentlemen reviewed, his cases, and what did you say? He meets, basically, I guess Tuesday and Thursday, he comes here, because I know he's in Township other days, so.
Yeah, we had put RFPs out, but never really heard anything back.
From other zoning officers?
Yeah, so we're gonna have to revisit that and see, because we did want to get RFPs, but
You didn't get none from any other township or any,
not as this point, so we're gonna have to push
Okay.
that again.
Well, I just want you, because not to, I just say you hadn't followed up on even your thing that brought up the township, that is in violation of the township ordinance. And when people aren't doing what the Board of Supervisors is requesting to do, I would think you would have that person in there and ask them why they're not following up on that. I can just state one other item, I'm not gonna go over the situation I brought up the last couple of meetings, but there's one down Mortonville, the bar. And that came before the Historical Commission. There's all kind of demolition. That one, the Historical Commission told the owner of that property they could not do it, but else they do it. They tore down a wall, put a footer in, no inspection. Whenever you have footers, the zoning officers come and inspect it. There was nothing done now. So that's something that I would hope this board would review some of the problems that we are having with this particularly Keystone and review it. And hopefully there's other zoning, I don't know how soon you put that out, to get other ones, just like we used to do with the solicitors and also the accounting firms and stuff like that. And we had a lot of feedback. So I'm sure there are other zoning officers out there, or maybe this agency here that we have can send another person out. Evidently, Keystone is a bigger outfit, and maybe they would send out somebody else if they're not satisfied with that type of employee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments regarding the zoning officer? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We do have liaison appointments, but without Ed and Carol here, I think we'll push this to the meeting at the end of this month.
Sure.
And that way we can make sure we get somebody assigned to all of these, like we did last year. Is anybody planning on going to the state supervisors convention at this point?
No, not at this point.
Wilson, do you think you'll be able to make it this year? We'll keep this again for the next one, see about Ed and Carol's ability. If we send somebody and they want to vote, then we'll name a voting delegate. I was the voting delegate last year, but most likely will not be able to make it this year due to my work schedule. Vacancy board, I believe Mr. Zeller is the current
He is.
vacancy board. He's not here this evening.
Not usually.
Yeah.
Mr. Zeller.
Erwin Zeller.
Yeah, Erwin Zeller.
Yeah.
Is there anybody here that's looking to be vacancy chairman, or vacancy board?
I've been at that board.
The conflict with you, buddy, if you're the vacancy board chair, I don't think you can still be on the historical commission either.
Yeah.
You're up there.
Yeah, I've been, I thought somebody else would.
Well, I can't speak for Mr. Zeller, so I know one else has volunteered, so I guess push this to the next one as well. And maybe we can, or put a thing out on the website, on Facebook, if anybody is interested. I know we had people before, Mr. Nash was interested before. Again, he's not here this evening, so maybe at the next meeting we can appoint somebody.
Maybe there's other two.
One of those.
Yeah. but I don't want to speak for them without them here, so. I make a motion to appoint the law offices of John Carnes Jr. as the 2017 Township zoning solicitor at the rate of $135 per hour and $100 for any services done for John Carnes.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Make a motion to appoint Herbert E. McCumbee Jr., P.E. as the 2017 Township Sewer Consultant and approve their 2017 fee schedule as presented. They range anywhere from $67.50 per hour up to $145 per hour, depending on the level of service used.
Second.
Questions or comments? Mrs. Scott?
How was Mr. McCumbee selected to be the township sewer consultant?
He was selected before I was on the board, and at this point, I mean, they have a lot, the Act 537 through them right now, so continuing with them. I don't believe the rates went up any from last year.
Well, of course, you realize, and do you know that our zoning hearing board, former planning commission chairman Dennis O'Neill is an employee of that firm?
Yes.
Do not you feel that is a conflict of interest?
It would if he was appointing his own firm, it's not a board of supervisors is considering the reappointment of the firm.
I'm sorry?
It would if that individual was up here making the motion to approve McCumbee, but he is not on this board, which makes the decision to do so. So it's not a conflict of interest.
Dennis O'Neill is not, he's done.
He's on the zoning hearing board,
His term
isn't
expired and he's not,
he? He's no longer?
not
oh,
renewing,
Okay,
so he's no longer on
All
that
right.
board.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Carries 3-0. Don't see anything in here. It's all just appointments at this point, right? Okay. Right?
Yep. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks guys. Have a good night.
I make a motion to appoint traffic planning and design as the 2017 Township Traffic Consultants and approve their 2017 fee schedule as presented. Again, this is no increase in the rate.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. I make a motion to appoint Delapenna Engineering as the 2017 Township Engineer and approve the 2017 fee schedule as presented.
Second.
I believe, yeah, this is the same rate as last year. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Make a motion to approve resolution 2017-01, approving the township fee schedule, secretary draft 12/28/16.
Second.
Any changes from last year, Lisa? I believe this is the same.
The only thing was that we took off the, picking up of mattresses, because Allied Waste is not doing that.
Okay.
That was really good.
But no other fee changes at this point. Any questions or comments?
Is that
Scott.
fee schedule on our website?
It will be, as soon as it's approved.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Agricultural Security Commission, make a motion to appoint Arthur DeLeo to the Agricultural Security Area Committee 2017 to 2021 term.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. I make a motion to appoint Joe McCormick to the Agricultural Security Area Committee 2016 to 2017 term.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Make a motion to appoint Clarence Rhodes Jr. to the Agricultural Security Area Committee 2016 to 2019 term.
Second.
Questions or comments? Scott?
Clarence Rhodes Jr. is deceased as of 2013. So that is inaccurate.